welcome to Raymond Antrobus. My name is Raymond Antrobus. I'm here with Aki Schilz, a poet, a publisher, co-creator of Lost Lit. Lost Lit regularly trends on Twitter. What can you tell us about Lost Lit? How did it come about? Where is it going?
Sure. So Lost Lit is a digital project for poetry and short fiction, and it started as a joke really between myself and my co-curator Kit Kalis, who's a publisher at Influx Press. So Kit runs a small press that is site specific, and he has a blog called the Anti-Canon. So he decides to kind of have people blog, contribute articles on people who he thinks should be recognised in a canon but have been for whatever reason marginalised or not recognised in the mainstream. And I love that idea because I have quite an academic brain, and I thought there must be other canons that could be created. What are the driving factors in literature? So we're sort of, bashing ideas around, and I said, well, loss is behind so much literature across everything. Surely there should be a canon for it. And we made a joke hashtag lost lit, lost literature. And then people started joining in, and so we thought, well, maybe we can have a write club. So now, first Wednesday of every month, we have a write club from 9 to 11 GMT on Twitter, and people contribute to it. And it's all creative, tweet-length stuff inspired by loss.
What are the tweets that get the most interaction?
Good question. So, we have lots of different ones. So there's lots of micro poetry on there, but there's also some kind of political stuff. There's some football tweets. There are, geography tweets. There are things about aging. Things that are quite personal often get a lot of interaction because people can relate to them, or they recognise the bravery of tweeting something about, for instance, the difficulty of an abortion. That's quite a personal thing to bring out into a public sphere like Twitter. People want to show their support by kind of liking and retweeting or commenting. Lots of love related. That's my specialism. Love tweets. Love poetry. They tend to get people, understanding what it's like to have lost someone or to have unrequited love as a situation that they've been in. Those ones are quite popular.
Because I never thought about it as literature, and the amount of possibilities that are within that theme. Even myself, I always focus on the loss. So I suppose the love and heartbreak are the kind of more immediate things that people would go to. But now you've spelled it out. That's made me think a bit wider about the subject.
Well, so the literature part of it is interesting because part of the idea of a canon obviously is to have a kind of bibliography of recommended works. So we have a magazine that goes alongside the Twitter project. So as long as tweet length stuff, we also have long form poetry, essays, creative memoir, audio, and that goes in a magazine. We're in our third issue now. We're reading currently for the third issue, and so every contributor who gets their piece of work into the magazine, we ask them to nominate into the Lost Lit canon a piece of literature that's already published. It can be popular or not popular, it can be niche, it can be whatever, it just has to be published, and we're creating a canon that way. So far we've got 3 issues worth of people nominating works of literature that they think should belong in this canon. That's amazing.
So you're creating your own canon away from what's kind of already...
and it's all sort of linked up. So the idea is to have the Twitter project where the hashtag can be used anytime, anywhere, in any place, and the Write Club, which happens once a month. Then there's a Storify of what we think are the best tweets. But it's democratic. It's supposed to be everyone. We retweet everything from everyone.
We were talking earlier about this, I guess the pros and cons of the internet. Poetry online, poetry on Twitter has in any way cheapened the art form of poetry?
It's difficult. My heart instinct is to say no, of course it hasn't cheapened anything. I think there is also some kind of popularity contest going on, and invariably certain things will touch nerves that are maybe easily digestible or that are kind of broad strokes, and that people can connect with easily who might not necessarily be regular readers of poetry. I think sometimes we miss that out. We don't think about who the reader is, who the consumer is. So people can rally either side and say, no, this is great poetry, no, this is rubbish. And in a way it sort of doesn't matter as long as people are finding readerships in each area. And I don't know if it's detrimental. I think that there are people who are brilliant who aren't getting recognition, and there are people who are terrible who are, but it's the same in publishing. That's the world I work in publishing. You know, I look at the bestseller list sometimes and I have no idea what's going on. But you know, and research has shown that, for example, what's the term literary fiction, although that's a whole other debate. What does it really mean? I think literary is really a lens rather than a genre, but that's a whole other thing. But literary fiction readers in the UK are in number are around 21,000 people. That's tiny. But then if you think about it that way, you think, well, maybe there are only particular readers who will go towards particular things, and they're smaller in number, but they're loyal, and they, you know, if we can get visibility and we can get recognition for those people who are doing great things formally or whatever else, then that's fine, and those Insta poets can have their millions, and whether they've deserved it or not, some of them are incredibly prolific as well, and you know, you can't not recognise that. And also it would be interesting to hear from them how they identify as well. What do they think they're writing, and for whom is it? You know.
Well, then that's where the democracy comes in. It's like I put it out online, and whoever responds to it is for you. In a sense.
And also we can't assume that every reader is online as well. So that's something that in my job we look at what we call talent pathways. So it's thinking about the clients I work at an editorial consultancy, and we work with clients who are at all stages of their writing and across all genres. So they might be writing a play script or a screenplay or a novel, a set of poems, short stories, and we look to see where they might go next if they're good enough. And I think anyone can go anywhere, even if the work's not great. You can just publish online. And I think that we're missing some kind of, I'm going to get into trouble for talking about curation and gatekeeping, but I think there is some essential element there that now the floodgates are open. And on the one hand, it's amazing. Anyone can self-publish, and it's been a class revolution as well, because the publishing world is still very elitist, and now, you know, there's a big kind of, anyone from any class can say, do you know what, I've got the means, I've got the know-how, I can get my stuff online, I can get readers, I can get a really savvy publicity campaign behind it, and suddenly, wow, 100,000 books sold of, you know, my amazing horse memoir, or my whatever, you know, how to cook cucumbers 101 different ways. But so it's great, but it's also like, well, that anyone can publish, so what does that really mean?